When you think about what truly shapes a nation's future, its character, its resilience, um, its very mindset, it's not just elections or economic policies, is it?
No, not at all.
It's something far more fundamental, something that happens quietly, day after day, in classrooms and homes. It's the education system.
Yeah.
It kind of wires the very nerves of a society. What we teach our children today becomes the character of our country tomorrow.
That's a profound truth. I mean, every nation, rich or poor, invests heavily in shaping its future citizens through education.
Right.
Some prioritize math and science, others discipline or maybe a particular ideology. Often these systems are intensely agenda-driven.
Yeah, focused on political goals or religious adherence or maybe just an obsession with exam results and rankings.
Exactly. And in those environments, it's easy for children to feel like numbers. Their creativity just gets squeezed out.
And for many of us, that's probably been our experience of school.
Yeah.
Long hours, tons of homework, endless exams, and, well, a real fear of failure.
Yeah.
But what if there was another way? What if education wasn't primarily about competition or just producing good test scores?
What if it was about growing whole people?
Yeah.
Curious, happy, resilient humans.
You might wonder, where does this actually work? Is that even possible?
And that's where one country consistently comes up, almost paradoxically.
Oh.
Finland.
Finland, right.
Their education system is renowned globally, not because kids study longer or have more homework. Often it's because they study less.
Less, really?
Yeah. They have fewer standardized tests, teachers have incredible freedom, and play is, fiercely protected.
Okay.
And at the heart of it all is this quiet, powerful philosophy. Education is not about competition. It's about nurturing curiosity and happiness.
Less homework, fewer high-stakes tests, teachers with that much freedom, and it's considered one of the most respected systems in the world. That sounds almost, well, too good to be true, especially for those of us who grew up with a very different model. How do they actually achieve that?
That's precisely what we're diving into today. Our mission is to explore the philosophy and the practical structure of Finnish education.
Okay.
We'll journey from early childhood play and how they train their teachers to classrooms that don't focus on ranking and evaluation systems built entirely on trust.
So we'll ask, why do so many educational experts call this a gold standard? And what crucial lessons can the rest of the world truly learn from it?
Exactly.
So if you're a parent, a student, a teacher, or just someone who deeply cares about the future of learning, definitely stay with us. By the end of this deep dive, you might just find yourself completely rethinking what school can and maybe should be. So before we even step inside a Finnish classroom, let's look at the big picture. Why is Finland's education system the subject of so much global discussion? What are the actual outcomes that put it on everyone's radar?
Well, okay, you see a country that consistently ranks among the highest globally in things like literacy, math, and science.
Right, the PISA scores and things like that.
Exactly. And this isn't achieved by students drowning in homework. Quite the opposite, like we said. You also see incredibly high levels of inclusion and equality. So a child from a rural village has almost the same educational opportunities as one from, say, Helsinki.
That's huge.
It is. And a significant proportion of their students go on to complete higher education. But maybe even more importantly, beyond just academic numbers, you see something far rarer.
Which is?
Happier students, actually. Mentally tougher adults, and a society that seems to value balance just as much as what we typically call success.
That's fascinating because it's not just confined to the classroom then, is it?
No.
When you look at Finland's Human Development Index, their social equality rankings, innovation indexes, even how they optimize resources, Finland is kind of a quiet leader in so many areas.
Absolutely.
It suggests their approach to education isn't just about good schools, but about shaping a resilient economy and, well, a strong society.
Absolutely correct. Education isn't the only factor, of course, but it's undeniably one of the biggest drivers behind Finland's overall societal strength and resilience. They've essentially proven that when you invest in quality education, not merely as a system for exams, but as a philosophy for life, you're not just creating good students, you're profoundly shaping good citizens.
And it's not just Finland making this claim, right? You hear educationalists and psychologists worldwide, from America to Asia, studying this model.
Yeah, they frequently call it a gold standard of child-centered learning, not because it's some perfect utopia, mind you,
Right.
but because it dares to ask a very fundamental, yet often overlooked question. What kind of human are we truly trying to raise?
And that question gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it?
It really does. Their
Yeah.
core belief can basically be summarized as education is not about competition. It's about nurturing curiosity and happiness. They don't view children as, like, machines to churn out grades. Instead, they see them as whole beings with emotions, creativity, and this incredible potential that needs ample time and space to genuinely grow.
So it's a profound shift away from the traditional model that many of us experience, which often felt like a race to the top, fueled by long hours and fear of not measuring up.
Yeah.
Finland seems to be saying, slow down, let children truly be children.
That's right. And here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just some romantic ideal. They actually have compelling data that proves this slower approach actually yields more skilled, adaptable, and emotionally healthier students. It really challenges the conventional wisdom that more always equals better in education.
Okay, now I'm genuinely curious about the practical side. We've talked about the what and the why, but for someone wondering how this translates to, say, a Tuesday morning in a Finnish classroom, what does that daily reality actually look like?
Ah, that's where the magic truly happens. Let's walk you through the journey, starting from the very beginning.
Okay, so if the goal is to raise these curious, happy, resilient humans, where does that journey truly begin in Finland? You said it's not in a classroom.
Right, it's years before the first formal school bell rings.
Okay.
Finland's educational journey starts with what they call Early Childhood Education and Care, or ECEC. This covers ages 0 to around 7, before compulsory schooling even begins.
0 to 7, wow.
Yeah. And here, the EduCare model is supreme. That means education, teaching, and care are seamlessly merged for a child's holistic development.
Is that just daycare?
Far more than just daycare. It's guided play, intentional growth, and a real focus on overall well-being. Children play, they explore, they learn through rich interactions, storytelling, art, movement. Each child even gets an individualized care and learning plan developed together with their guardians. There's very little formal academics. It's mostly about building trust and just creating space for wonder.
That sounds incredibly nurturing, almost, you might say, indulgent compared to some systems pushing academics really early.
Maybe. But in Finland, this is considered the fundamental cornerstone of lifelong learning.
Right.
Then, at age 6, children move into pre-primary education. This became a 1-year compulsory program back in 2015.
Okay, age 6. And the goal there?
The purpose isn't early testing at all. It's about readiness for formal schooling. It's filled with more play-based activities, building crucial social skills, engaging in creative projects, and gently introducing daily routines.
Yeah.
No academic pressure, just continued nurturing of curiosity.
And then at age 7, formal school finally begins. That's quite a bit later than in many countries, isn't it?
That's right, age 7. Children enter comprehensive school, which is their 9-year basic education, covering grades 1 to 9. This entire period is compulsory and completely free.
9 years. Okay. What's it like in those early primary years, grades 1 to 6?
Lessons are designed to be highly experiential, interactive, and multidisciplinary. Teachers often teach multiple subjects, which lets them build really deep, meaningful relationships with their students. They guide students through subjects like Finnish, English, math, arts, PE, crafts, ethics. But crucially, there are no streamed classes, so all students learn together and absolutely no early exams.
No early exams at all.
None.
What about the later years of comprehensive school, grades 7 to 9? Does it become more structured then?
Education stays holistic, but students do gain more agency. They get to choose some courses, engage in more group projects, and importantly, they receive individual support if they face academic or social challenges.
Support is built in.
Yes. Schools continue to emphasize physical activity, counseling, and those free daily meals. Assessment is consistent, but it's always for evaluation and growth, never for high-stakes testing.
Okay.
And if the student needs more time before deciding their next steps, there's even an optional 10th year of basic education available.
It really sounds like the system provides ample space for a child to grow at their own pace without feeling crushed by constant performance pressure. That's a significant departure from the norm for many of us.
It truly is. At the end of grade 9, students graduate with a comprehensive school certificate and then choose one of two upper secondary paths, both of which are also free. So for ages 16 to 19, roughly, students move into upper secondary education. They can choose either general upper secondary, known as Lukio, or vocational education and training, VET. Around 90% of students pick one of these paths right away. The general upper secondary, Lukio, is a 3-year academic program. It culminates in the nationally administered matriculation examination, which is actually the only formal standardized test in the entire Finnish system. Successfully passing that exam gives you access to universities and universities of applied sciences.
Got it. And the other path, VET.
VET, or vocational training, also usually takes 3 years. Students acquire practical, job-ready skills through a mix of institutional learning and significant time in workplaces, often via apprenticeships. Each student gets a personalized competence development plan. And what's truly remarkable is that VET graduates are also eligible to continue on to universities.
Really? So even a student who chooses a vocational path isn't locked into it.
At all.
They can still decide to pursue higher education later. That's genuinely freeing. It breaks down those traditional academic vocational divides.
It absolutely does. The entire system is incredibly flexible. Students can switch between paths or even combine both through what they call double or triple qualification models.
Wow. And higher education itself.
Critically, higher education in Finland is free. They offer bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees at universities and universities of applied sciences, all accessible to both academic and vocational graduates.
And learning doesn't stop there.
Nope. Beyond that, a robust adult education system ensures that doors for learning remain open throughout an entire lifetime.
So if I'm tracing this journey, it's like a beautiful flow. Nurturing at age 0, free play at 6, comprehensive, holistic learning starting at 7, flexible paths at 16, and then open access to higher education. It genuinely feels like there are no dead ends for a student.
That's the core design principle. Every child is given the space and support to develop.
Yeah.
Every student can choose their own pace and their own path. And at every single stage, the system trusts them and supports them without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
This is how Finland cultivates competence and curiosity, not cutthroat competition. It's an entire architecture of education built on deep relationships, not on rankings.
You mentioned earlier that the focus in Finland is on learning rather than testing. That sounds almost revolutionary to many of us who grew up with constant exams. When you shift the focus like that, what changes fundamentally about the rhythm and purpose of a classroom day?
It's a complete paradigm shift, really. In Finland's basic education, there are simply no national high-stakes tests used to rank pupils or schools, period.
Okay, so how do they know kids are learning?
Instead, teachers are empowered to continuously assess their own students, using the national curriculum objectives as their guide. Assessment is overwhelmingly continuous and formative.
Formative, what does that mean in practice?
It means it involves a lot of observation, rich dialogue between teacher and student, portfolios of work, student self-assessment, maybe small quizzes if the teacher thinks they're useful. But nothing is imposed from above.
Right.
The entire purpose is to provide feedback that genuinely helps the child grow, not to label them early on in their academic journey.
So a child's progress really depends on the nuanced judgment of the teacher who knows them intimately, who sees them every single day, not some distant anonymous exam board.
That's it, exactly. And Finnish teachers are exceptionally well-trained in diverse assessment methods, everything from rubrics to qualitative feedback and how to effectively encourage student reflection. They're the ones who determine how best to show evidence of learning and when numerical grades might become beneficial. In the early years, you'll largely see descriptive feedback. Numerical grading comes much later, and even then it's always contextual, never part of some comparative league table.
So just to be clear, the only national standardized exam is that matriculation exam at the end.
The only one.
Mm.
Students take it at the very end of general upper secondary, the Lukio, typically ages 18 or 19. It's digital now, multi-subject, it certifies completion of secondary ed, and is widely used for higher admissions.
But beyond that, no big national exams in year 3, year 6, year 9, like in some other countries.
Nope, just that one culminating assessment designed to open doors, not close them.
Okay, if teachers are entrusted with that much responsibility for assessment, they must be incredibly well trained and respected.
They absolutely are. Teaching in Finland is a highly prestigious profession. It's tough to get into teacher training programs.
Really competitive.
Extremely competitive pools. And at both primary and secondary levels, teachers are required to hold a master's degree.
A master's degree for primary school teachers, too.
Yes, and this degree masterfully blends deep subject knowledge with pedagogy, child development, and critical research methods.
Wow.
And because their preparation is so incredibly thorough and deep, Finland grants them remarkable professional autonomy,
Meaning?
meaning they have the freedom to choose their own materials, design their own assessments, adapt lessons to their students' unique needs, and even help write the local curriculum.
So instead of being micromanaged, teachers are treated more like, well, doctors or engineers. Highly trained professionals trusted to make critical decisions.
That's a great analogy. It's central to the entire system. That profound trust eliminates the need for the heavy inspection regimes you see elsewhere.
Right.
Teachers collaborate extensively in school teams, they share responsibility for their learners, and they engage in ongoing professional development, not because they're being ranked, but because they are respected professionals continuously striving for excellence.
Given that much freedom for individual schools and teachers, how does Finland ensure overall quality and coherence? Doesn't that risk creating chaos or huge differences between schools?
That's a fair question. It's managed through their two-level curriculum model. There's a national core curriculum that sets the broad values, overall learning goals, and general subject guidelines.
Okay, a national framework.
Exactly. But crucially, within that frame, municipalities and individual schools co-create their own local curricula,
Co-create. With who?
often involving teachers, parents, sometimes even community voices at the table. This innovative approach allows for national coherence while simultaneously ensuring local relevance. Learning gets adapted to diverse contexts. A rural school, an urban school, one in a Sami language region.
So a science unit in Helsinki and one in a small town in Lapland could both meet the national goals but look completely different in terms of materials and projects used.
Precisely. That flexibility allows teachers to build deeply relevant, maybe phenomenon-based projects, like studying the climate in their local forest, or analyzing water quality in the village stream, or exploring urban sustainability on their city block. It meets national competencies while keeping learning alive, tangible, and really relevant to the student's own environment.
People often talk about Finland's commitment to equality. What does that actually mean in practice beyond just being a slogan, especially in education?
Well, equality in the Finnish context means every single child receives the same high-quality, publicly funded foundation, regardless of their background or where they live.
Same foundation meaning?
Meaning free tuition, free daily school meals,
Yeah.
all necessary learning materials, comprehensive health and welfare services provided through the school, and even transportation if it's needed.
Wow, that's comprehensive.
It is. Municipalities are legally required to provide education for all 6 to 18-year-olds in their area. And critical support services, like special education, counseling, language support, are built into the system from the very beginning, not an afterthought.
And the result of that?
It dramatically reduces the achievement gaps you often see between affluent and less resourced regions. It ensures that almost all schools are excellent schools.
So there isn't really an elite track for the wealthy and then leftover schools for everyone else. That's a profound difference from many systems.
Very little stratification. Fewer than 2% of pupils attend private or state special schools. The vast majority, over 98%, attend their local municipal school.
And these local schools are universally well-resourced.
Yes, designed to include all learners. And that shared experience, attending the same local school, really nurtures social trust across the entire society.
Okay, another practical question. If there are no national tests to rank students or schools in basic education, how does Finland actually monitor whether students are learning and how the system as a whole is performing? How do they ensure accountability without constant exams?
They do monitor learning, but differently. They use what they call sample-based national evaluations. These are conducted by the Finnish Education Evaluation Center, or FINEEC.
Sample based.
Right. Instead of testing every single child every year, FINEEC periodically samples schools in different subjects. They use this to monitor system-level learning, gauge equity, and track how the curriculum is actually being implemented on the ground.
And what do they do with those results?
The results are used to guide improvements across the entire system. They are explicitly not used for punishments or to create publicly tables comparing schools.
So the data exists, it's analyzed, but it's used to support schools and drive improvement, not to shame them or create a competitive environment. That's a really significant redefinition of accountability.
That's precisely it. Finland cultivates what they call an enhancement-led evaluation culture. Schools are encouraged to do their own self-evaluations, they share effective practices with each other, and they use external findings like the FINEEC reports as constructive feedback to get better, rather than as a scoreboard to compete against.
This deep level of trust between the government, schools, teachers, it doesn't just materialize out of thin air, does it? How is education policy actually crafted in Finland to ensure this alignment and cooperation?
No, it's definitely been built over time. Finland's education policy tradition is incredibly cooperative and evolutionary. It's more about continuous improvement than dramatic overhauls every few years.
Okay.
Major directions are set nationally, often in long-range plans like their education policy report, but the actual implementation is decentralized to the local level. Municipalities and schools adapt these plans.
And how are those plans developed?
Critically, reform is always deeply consultative. The government involves teacher unions like the OAJ, which is very influential, employer groups, researchers, community stakeholders. They all actively participate.
So teachers have a real voice.
A very strong voice. Reforms rarely move forward without significant teacher input and consensus. The OAJ, the Trade Union of Education, is a major player.
So the very system that trusts teachers was, in a fundamental way, actually built with teachers. That must foster a tremendous amount of legitimacy and buy-in in the classrooms themselves.
It absolutely does. When educators are integral in shaping policy, that policy earns legitimacy right there in the classrooms where it matters most. That genuine collaboration is truly Finland's sort of quiet superpower.
After hearing all this, the natural question that comes up is, can other countries simply, copy-paste Finland's education model and expect the same results? Or is there something inherently unique about Finnish culture that makes this work?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer is probably a blend of both, to be honest.
Well,
Finland's success isn't the result of one magic reform they suddenly implemented. It's really the culmination of decades of intentionally building trust, implementing strong equity policies, investing heavily in rigorous teacher training, and cultivating very specific cultural attitudes toward childhood and learning.
so you can't just grab one piece like less homework and expect it to magically transform your system.
Probably not. It's more holistic than that. However, there are certainly profound universal lessons that every country can learn from and adapt to their own context.
Okay, what's lesson number one?
The first and perhaps most powerful lesson is that testing alone doesn't inherently improve learning. Finland demonstrates that schools can effectively evaluate students without completely overburdening them with endless national exams.
Right.
This approach encourages deep understanding and genuine curiosity, rather than just rote memorization driven by fear of a test score.
And it really highlights that many countries measure their education systems by how well students pass tests, not necessarily by how much they actually enjoy learning or how capable they become at independent thought.
Exactly. That leads to the second lesson. Trust your teachers. In Finland, teachers are the absolute backbone of the system. They are highly trained, deeply respected, and given the professional freedom to teach in creative, effective ways.
So the advice is,
If you truly aspire to Finland-level outcomes, you have to profoundly invest in teacher quality and then empower them, rather than constantly micromanaging them with excessive bureaucracy.
It's true, in many places, teachers feel buried under paperwork and rigid standardized curricula. Finland seems to say, hire great teachers, train them well, then step back and let them do their job with trust and autonomy. That's a very different mindset.
It really is. Another crucial lesson is the emphasis on play, mental well-being, and social-emotional skills.
The whole child again.
Yes. Breaks are longer. Outdoor time is considered sacred, even in the freezing winters. It's a powerful reminder that happy children are simply better learners than stressed children.
I really appreciate that philosophy. You don't prepare a child for life by burning them out in childhood itself. It's about balanced, holistic development.
Precisely. And then there's equity. It's non-negotiable in Finland. Every child, regardless of where they are born or their family's income, has access to the same high quality of education, free meals, and essential learning support.
No student left behind because of their postcode or economic background.
That's the goal, and they achieve it remarkably well. That is a truly aspirational target for many other systems around the world. And finally, maybe the lesson is patience. Finland didn't build its model overnight. It was a slow, deliberate evolution guided by deep collaboration between teachers, policymakers, and communities.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder that true education reform isn't a quick-fix project. It's a national mindset, a shared commitment to a long-term vision.
So if a country can't simply copy everything, what would you say is the absolute crucial first step for any society looking to move closer to this kind of success? Where do you even begin?
The first step, I would say, start with trust.
Trust.
Yeah. Trust your teachers, trust your students, give them the necessary space to think, to create, to explore, and importantly, even to fail safely without dire consequences.
Okay.
Once that profound cultural shift towards trust truly takes root, everything else, the curriculum adjustments, the policy reforms, becomes genuinely possible. It unlocks potential.
You know, this whole conversation makes me reflect deeply. Is education truly confined only to school buildings like we usually think?
Go on.
Well, if we consider a traditional society, say, a small tribe in the Arctic or the desert, where wisdom is passed from elders to children through stories, songs, rituals, hands-on apprenticeships, would we consider that an education system, too?
That's a truly powerful question. It challenges our conventional definitions, doesn't it?
Right.
Education, at its absolute heart, is the profound passing of knowledge, values, and skills that enable a person to live meaningfully in their world.
Right.
Finland's model works incredibly well for its modern industrialized society. But that doesn't diminish the validity of the wisdom passing in indigenous or traditional cultures. Perhaps in their own unique way, they too possess the best education system because it's deeply rooted in their specific environment and their core values, fostering connection.
And if we were to try and evaluate these ancestral learning systems, storytelling, apprenticeships, nature-based wisdom, would they ever even rank on a global education index like PISA?
Probably not.
Or are we simply too narrow in how we define what learning and success truly are in the first place?
I think that's very possible. Perhaps the deepest lesson Finland offers us isn't just about copying its structure, but about prompting us to ask this fundamental question for ourselves and our own communities. What does it truly mean to educate? Is education primarily about creating workers to fit neatly into an economy? Or is it about creating humans who can think critically, feel deeply, and genuinely connect with the world and with each other?
Finland chose curiosity and happiness as its guiding stars.
They did. What will you choose? What guides your system?
Maybe that's precisely where every society needs to begin, by redefining success in education and asking that tough question, what kind of humans are we actually trying to raise?
A question worth pondering long after this conversation ends.
Absolutely. We truly hope this deep dive has given you, our listener, a lot of rich ideas to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the knowledge that shapes our world. Goodbye for now.